Hello everyone, this is my latest game, Spearmint Valley, and this is going to be a overview video and how to play, so let's get started. This game is for 1 to 3 players, and it plays anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. These are all the components that come with the game. And this game is inspired by games like Stardew Valley and Final Girl. It has a bit of mechanics from both, but we'll go over the game in more details. So first, you, represented by this meeple, will be moving around Spearmint Valley and the map, and you'll be collecting resources from all these various cards that you see here. And the resources are kept along on this track. You have these cubes that represent a different resource. And you're going to be collecting resources over 3 years, which is controlled by this timer here. So every turn will be a season, and there's 3 years, so there's 12 turns in the game. And at the start of the game, you will have 2 goals that you have to complete from a random deck of goals. And at the start of each year, you're going to get a friend card from this friend deck, and they will want resources to build friendships. So you're going to be collecting resources, spending it on friends, and you might be spending it to craft some items, because the items that you craft or the buildings that you craft as you grow the community, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get special abilities, you're going to get you might need certain items to be able to accomplish some goals. For example, to be better in combat so you can fight these slimes. And that's really the overview of the game. Everything is controlled by this time track, and what you'll also have is a hand of cards, and all the actions that you can take are from these cards. If you want to move your meeple, you're going to play the travel card. If you want to harvest some crops, you're going to play the farming card. If you want to attack some slimes, if you want to mine some minerals, or fish. So all your actions are these cards, and you can see here, there's these 3 boxes. So when you play a card, you're also going to roll some dice to see how many successes you can roll, and that is determined by these stars over here. So the better the roll, the better the reward. But you'll always get a reward even if you fail at the roll. And there's ways to mitigate the dice roll, so it's not entirely on luck. But you do want to try to plan for the worst and hope for the best when you roll. So we'll be playing these cards, and let's talk about how to play the game. So everything is set up, and you will be moving around, and on your turn you'll play a card, an action card, and take that action, and it will cost this amount of time. And on this time track, you will subtract this amount of time, however much it is, depending on what you roll. Sometimes it's different. So in farming, you always harvest a crop, but you might spend more time or less time, depending on your roll. If you ever run out of time, you become exhausted, and you go to the next phase, which is sleeping. So there's 2 phases in each turn. Actions phase, where you're going to play cards, take actions, and then when you pass, or if you become exhausted, you go to the sleep phase. And when you go to the sleep phase, you recover your time, but before you do, whatever time you were at, you can use this time to buy better cards, and this is the market row up here. So if we were to take a look at the harvest card here and compare it to the farming card, you can see this is upgraded, because you can get 3 crops or 2 crops or 1 crop for the worst. And 1 crop at one time is the worst for this card, and that's the best for the farming. So you can see it's very powerful. But cards that you buy from the market row over here are only one-time use. So once you use it, it goes back into the market row, but you can always rebuy it back at a later time. So the gameplay requires that you're controlling your time, not only how much time you have to do in a turn, but how much time you want to leave when you go to sleep and rest so that you can get stronger cards. So while you have all these actions, you're going to have to plan out your turns, because you're not going to be able to do all these actions on every turn. And in fact, that's where the friend cards come in. So the friends have a list of requirements. You're going to try to get these requirements in order to win the game, because there's a new friend at the start of each year. So in a solo game, you'll reveal one of these, and you'll have 3 friends that you need to make friendships with, which means that you got to spend these resources. In this case, it's produce and gold. But on the bottom here, these are different seasons, and this friend will prevent you from taking those actions. So if you remember, on the cards, the attack action, it shows you the icon, which is the sword. And that would mean in fall, you would not be able to play this card in fall. So you need to plan your turns, not only for the current turn, but for all of the seasons in the year to try to plan out what you're going to do, what happens if you roll wrong. And so this time management is really the mathematical puzzle that really drives this game. Now I want to talk about the resources. So every resource, which is all these cards and all these different decks, ultimately, like I said, it's all tracked through these cubes. And you can see at the bottom of the card, this is the type of resource. So if you were to plant this corn and then you were able to harvest it, it doesn't mean that you would get a corn cube. You would move this green cube one on the track. If you got another one, it would go on the track like this. So each type of resource has a different way of earning it. So for crops, you have to first go here, buy these crops from the store, and they get planted. And then you can go back to the farm, you can play a harvest card, and then you will harvest them, and you will get your resources. For the slimes, this is a great way to get gold because they give you gold. That's the best way to earn gold. You come to the forest and you play some attacks, and you have to defeat the slimes in this order, which will be random at the start, but it will always have the boss slime at the end. It has the most gold at 5. So you'll first have to kill this one, then this one, and so forth as you adventure your way into the forest. If we come here, you can buy animals for your farm and you'll be able to gain animal products from it, but you can't do this until you have built the barn, for example. If we skip over this space, you'll see that on here there are 3 spaces, and I should mention that every space shows you which actions you can take based on your cards. But there's 3 fishing spots: a river, a lake, and an ocean. And this is the fishing row, and depending on the fish that are in the fishing row, you can see there's an ocean and a river. You'd have to go to that spot, and then you can fish and earn these. The last resource is the mining deck, and this deck is always just flipping cards off the top, but the amount of cards you flip will depend on your roll. So sometimes you just get 1 card, and this is a copper. Sometimes you get 2 cards, and this deck is filled with gems, rocks, and copper, so depending on what you get. The last resource, this gem that you just saw, which you get from the mine, is a wild. You can use it to, when you spend it, it can be spent as anything: gold or produce or copper or animal products, whatever you want. So these are everything that comes in the base game. Of course, there are other player mats if you have second or third player. The rules, if I had it the right way, you can see here, double-sided, nice icons. And these dice. Now, these dice come with the base game, but there is an upgrade for deluxe dice that is an add-on. They're entirely cosmetic. You don't have to get it, but you'll see that these dice have a 1, a 2, or a blank, and the 1 represents a success, the star. The 2 represents the chance to discard 2 cards to turn this into a success, and then a blank is a miss. So this just kind of matches the icons of the game better. It's completely up to you if you want to get the game. I also like the wood feel of it with the theme of the game. But these certainly do, and in the rules it explains what the pips do. The game is entirely playable with these dice as well. It's just an optional thing. I split it up because these dice are engraved and they're costly, so it adds about, I don't know, it's going to be like $8 or $10 from the game crafter. So if you, in order to keep the game that much cheaper, I found these dice that the game crafter offers for only like 20 cents or something, so I was able to keep the component cost down. And that is a quick overview of the game. You're going to be taking actions. You're going to go to the sleep phase, and then you're going to increment this time every turn. And you got 12 turns. When you get to summer, fall, winter, when you return back to spring, you increment the year. And of course, like I said, we can take a look at the crafting row. Anytime you go here to this last space, you'll be able to craft items. You can see it takes the construct action, and these are the cost to build this item. And if you went here, you'd see that you get +1 damage when fighting slimes. And slimes have HP, so this is only 1, but the harder slime, the blue slime, is 2, and the slime boss is 3. So you can see how having the ring and maybe getting one of these cards, like I showed with the harvest, there's a strong strike here, so you can see you can get 2 damage here, and that's the max you can ever do in the game. So if you ever wanted to kill the boss, you're first going to have to make the ring, you're going to have to get this card, and you're going to have to fight your way to the boss. So every game is going to be different depending on the friends that come out, because all the friends have different actions and different seasons that they restrict it. They have different requirements to make friends. So between that and the gold deck, you're going to have so many possibilities in this game. It's going to have a lot of replayability, and every game is going to feel a little bit different, even though you're doing kind of the same actions and you're trying to manage your time. And with that, I find that it gives a lot of fun, and I hope you check out the playthrough video. Thank you.